All right, hello and welcome, Capsuleers. Today we have another special edition on Talking in Stations for EVE Galaxy Conquest. We have a panel of guests, some familiar faces and some new ones. And today we're going to be kind of talking about just community feedback, some known bugs in the game, and then just kind of what has drawn us into EVE Galaxy Conquest. Before going into, I'm going to give a quick update on how our veteran server is doing. So here we have our map. This is what our current map looks like. You can see we're quite heavy with Minmatar. And here is our current rankings for how this veteran server is doing. So without further ado, let's introduce our guests. Here are our guests. Welcome, guys. How's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
Hello.
Very good.
Awesome. Let's go one by one and introduce everybody. Jap, you're new with us today, so why don't you go first?
Hi, my name is Jap Jules in the game. I'm with the Reforged Corporation right now. I'm just a humble linesman, just a grunt, following orders. And we're doing very well in the season. Back in season 1, I was a CEO for a small Minmatar Corp called Death Dealer 69. And we did awfully. We just got our butts handed to us by the other big three corporations, But we allied with the other Imperium team to kind of face off against the larger Exterminatus Caldari Corporation. And eventually just brought us all together to Reforged.
Nice. Not lots of merging, it sounds like. Reginald, why don't you introduce?
Yes.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yep. Hello. I'm Reginald. I was here the previous episode, and I am the director of Imperium, and we are currently very much fighting with Reforged.
Awesome. And Doomsy, why don't you go ahead?
All right. Doomsy, loudmouth. Everyone's probably heard at least 10 times, but I am the New Order's, one of the New Order's military commanders, actively fighting No Mercy and Reforge when they come to our door.
Nice. All right, so let's dive in. We're going to kind of first talk in a segment about what we enjoy about EVE Galaxy Conquest, what's drawn us into the games. So, Jap, let's start with you. What made you want to start playing EVE Galaxy Conquest?
Right. So how I heard about this game was I was actually playing EVE Echoes. I'm more of a mobile gamer, so there I was on EVE Echoes talking to all the crazy people in chat. And one of them brings up, hey, you know that Galaxy Conquest game just dropped today? And I'm like, today, huh? Maybe I could get a head start, So I log in, install the game, start as the Minmatar Corporation, because I believe it's the most difficult, at the time. In season 1, it was more free-to-play players. But I'm also a huge 4X player, such as games like Civilization, Alpha Centauri is another one. There's also a Civilization sci-fi game called Beyond Earth that no one really mentions, but it's a great space 4X game. This game, Galaxy Conquest, has a lot. Also, I'm a huge fan of Sins of a Solar Empire. I'm not a huge EVE player myself, though. But I'm a huge, strategy gamer, and yeah.
Okay, that's
just
interesting.
EVE Echoes.
Yeah. And how long have you been playing Echoes for?
But I was off and on, honestly, for about 3 years. Not really that much. A friend of mine is a huge EVE fan, though. But I was more drawn to the strategy element of Conquest,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge chess player. I like to play chess. Even games from the PS1, like Front Mission, or you might have heard of Advance Wars. Basically, any game with squares or tiles, I'm a huge player,
Oh, interesting. Have you ever heard of Hades Star?
No, I haven't heard of Hades Star.
Okay,
and actually, I gotta say, too, this game brought me so much up to speed about the lore of EVE. The history of the Minmatars working with the Amar to create the Amantar kind of faction, or how the Kaldar, it just gets deep. And every character and commander profile tells you more about the history of the game too. It's such a huge universe.
Yep, absolutely. Reginald, why don't you tell me about what got you hooked into EVE Galaxy Conquest?
Yeah, so first I saw like an ad on Google Play just randomly, and I was like, oh, hey, I play EVE. This is cool. Why haven't I heard about it? So I jumped in and kind of started playing at first very casually, but then as I joined like the Discord, started talking with people more, started making more social connections, I got deeper and deeper in the game, and that's where it led me.
Awesome, awesome. And do you play any other versions of EVE?
Because of Galaxy Conquest, I actually started like getting back into the EVE proper because I used to play it like 8-10 years ago. So I'm kind of trying it out as well now. But I'm not sure I will stick to that just yet. But I will be sticking with Galaxy Conquest.
Very nice. And how about you, Doomsy?
Getting into the game was just caused by my work. I travel a lot for my work, so I was looking for a way to spend time with my wife long distance, and we found the game together, and we joined the game together, and landed in the Whales, ran into fish and friends, and yeah, just kind of stayed. But it was mainly to stay connected to my wife.
Nice, nice, awesome. I think that is one of the things we definitely like about mobile games. I know a few years ago, a lot of EVE Online players really didn't take mobile gamers very seriously, but in some cases, would you guys agree that mobile gamers are almost just as intense of players as a regular PC gamer? Jap, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely. Well, let me tell you, the original gamer was the mobile gamer. As in, you go out to play with your friends. As in the arcades, I'm a huge arcade gamer, and I'm a big fighting gamer. With Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. So you're face to face with your enemies. You know what I mean? Almost like a LAN party back in the day, a split screen. With PC gaming nowadays, it's mostly talking over the internet, not really being in the same room. But I still enjoy that. I still go out to the arcade and play Crazy Taxi or Street Fighter.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah, mobile gaming can be very serious. There's actually tournaments for games such as Rise of Kingdoms, like high-level tournaments. Uh, Another thing, this game is very similar to StarCraft. A lot of tournaments and esports for that game. So
Absolutely.
there are a lot of spectators, people hungry to play and watch the competitions.
Yeah, absolutely. Reginald, do you think that this is an extremely social game? What makes it social, and does it make it like a richer and deeper environment as a game for you?
So it can be. Definitely when it comes to the more higher level play, it is a lot about the social part. Of course, if you wish to not engage it, that's with it, that's also possible. You can be like a line member, you can like just follow the orders that are sent from the higher up and not engage in the social part as much. But if you want to get to the top and compete at the top, which not everyone wants to do that, but for the ones who do, the social part becomes way, way more impactful.
Yep, absolutely. And what would you say, Doomsy? Do you feel like it's a pretty social game? Do you spend a lot of time in Discord, or how does that work for you?
Games like this, in my opinion, are almost entirely social. If an opinion is generated about you or your corp, several other corps or players can make entire military movements and decisions based upon how they feel you're perceived. Even if it's specifically targeted at a player, a whole corp could be persecuted or targeted just because of the perception of, for example, a CEO or a director.
That is very true. So you can kind of, it almost really impacts strategy. So having strong social game and strong reputation can be very impactful in later seasons. Absolutely. Jap, did you want to kind of go into a little bit more about what else specifically that you like about EVE Galaxy Conquest?
Yes, so more about the social aspects of the game. Yeah, it really brings you a lot closer to meeting new friends from this game, your corp mates. I, for one, when this game started, joined a little corporation. a friend of mine that I met, Foxcat, actually set up a whole Discord channel for our corporation, you know? And then me and them just stuck it through season 1. They've been a great friend, you know? Taught me how to use Discord, actually. And then, the matter of giving promotions, such as director, officer, military commander, you do want people who are more communicative with you in terms of strategy and tactics and politics. You do want communicative teammates, not just clicking here and there, but engaging in the chat, Uh, and yeah, more else about what kept me hooked on this game is the potential it has, all the updates that this game keeps receiving. Honestly, it's a totally different game from when we first started, One cool addition that I do like is on the sidebar here, right? It's over here. You have this new little agenda where you open it up and it shows all your construction here, your mining attempts here. That's cool because before you had to click all the way to your home screen, go to your home base, and then go to see your constructions, This right here saves about a minute. And that's really crucial when it comes to like perfecting second by second tactics, when you're engaged with PvP. You don't want to waste any minute,
Yeah,
So that's a cool kind of quality of life update they added.
and that's actually kind of a good segue
It kind of
into.
respects the player,
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of a good segue into the UI design and function. So I actually don't mind that update that you were just mentioning. One of the only thing is I have seen some feedback in terms of the menu button covers the siege button. So if they were just able to move that off, maybe, I don't know if it's just a me thing, but yeah, I often find that I can't hit the siege button. So definitely seeing some quality
it's
of.
like.
Say again?
Yeah, it's like you try to click on the siege button or the rally button rather, and then just this whole text of wall comes up. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Reginald, do you have any feedback?
If they made a way where
Go ahead, Jeb.
if you could scale the text size, if you could shrink or increase the size of all the text of the entire menu, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Reginald, I wanted to hear some of your feedback on just any of the UI design or function, any kind of recommendations that you've seen just in the latest few updates.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm kind of fortunate because I play on a fairly large phone, so I don't have these like cramming issues most of the time. That is something that I hear from other people, but I don't get them myself. However, there is like currently a lot of UI clutter possibly, like buttons everywhere and not really a way to like hide them or organize them better. So sometimes it feels like there is a lot of like buttons just everywhere. So maybe like some sort of way to better manage the UI, like personalize it would be nice. But I'm not sure if that's a priority right now for the developers.
Yeah, absolutely. Doomsy, what about you? Any feedback on some of the current UI?
I'm gonna have to agree on the cramming. I think a lot of buttons could be hidden under directories or folder menus, trees. There are a lot of buttons on the bottom of the screen that I think could be compressed. Even if they just did like a hamburger menu, and when you tap it, it opens up and shows the rest of the buttons. The ability to put it into the hamburger menu would be just awesome, I think. Or even the three dots. I can't remember the name of that one, but yeah.
Also, if you are in a position of like the military commander or higher, you get a way more buttons, and yeah, it's just a lot of buttons even on grids
So
at
many
that point.
Yeah, definitely. We kind of make a joke that when you become like a director or CEO, that's actually more of a demotion than anything. What do you guys think about the new color scheme? I know I saw some feedback in the community Discord. A lot of people not huge fans. It seems like the colors create a lot of eye burn, but I'm kind of curious to see on different phones if it's looks different for you guys. So Jap, what do you think about some of the color scheme that's been used?
Yeah, it is very irritating. Whoever thinks that yellow text in a white background is clear to read uh, has very good eyesight, better than the normal human.
Yep, absolutely.
So
And
it's not good.
And
Yep. I'm showing the audience as well what colors we're talking about. But yeah, this yellow is just very, very bright. It just kind of seems like a bit of an odd choice for sure. Reginald, what do you think? Do you think the color scheme needs a bit of improvement?
Oh yeah, the color scheme for sure. But I just wanna say that I'm actually a fan of like the shapes and the general like idea of the new UI. I like that. I like generally how it looks if the colors were properly like set up to support this kind of layout.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes, can I add one thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
I like to call it the Buzz Lightyear font. It's kind of like that spacey, kind of industrial space font, you know?
Hmm.
Reminds me of Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah,
here's the
absolutely.
academy wasted.
Now I'm not going to be able to unsee that. That's funny. What are some bugs
To infinity.
what are bugs that you guys have found that you think affects gameplay right now that maybe the devs need to pay some attention to? Reginald, why don't you go first?
Yeah, so for me, the bug that is currently affecting me the most is actually the Gristas pirate thing, where I send my fleets to fight Grista pirates and then I go off on the map to do something else. And I found my fleet just goes to them and actually sits on the tile, not even engaging in a fight.
Oh yeah, I've had that happen as well in PvP where I think Doomsy, you had this bug as well, where people's fleets would just sit on top of each other and you'd spend the 15 stamina and then no combat would occur. Doomsy, what are some of the other bugs that you've noticed? Similar, have you experienced what Reginald is having with the Graceless Pirates?
Oh, more than once. I've had the same thing you were just referring to with the PvP, where I would land on an enemy fleet and we would just share the space and nothing would happen, and one of us would be forced to spend an additional 15 stamina in order to initiate the fight.
Yep. Jap, what are some bugs that you've kind of encountered that you think has been impacting your gameplay?
Yes. So you might have noticed that sometimes a fleet can show two formations on top of each other,
Oh,
and they look
yes.
squished. It doesn't look normal.
Yes.
And it's only specifically for the intercept formation. I've also taken pictures too, but it's a phalanx with an assault underneath, but it's actually an intercept. Yeah. So that does occur for both, well, only for PvP, not for PvE.
Interesting.
There is that. And of course, I think you were mentioning too, when the resources black out
Yes.
or disappear.
Where we have, I'm just showing the audience a screenshot as well, but you'll see it'll be like a grid that looks like a level 10 gas, and then it's just actually a grid level 0, and it's very disappointing especially when you're in a position like our team is in specifically, and you don't have a lot of resources. So having like the phantom grids is definitely a common bug. What are some of there's more cosmetic bugs as well. Like I'm just showing the audience the picture of the Imperator that looks like an Abaddon like mated with a Thunderchild. So those ones we kind of see them, but they don't necessarily impact gameplay, so to speak. So they're more cosmetic. But what else? Does anybody else have any bugs that you guys have noticed that are kind
There are certainly, yeah, bugs that affect gameplay. When stations disappear, this usually happens when your network is a bit under par, subpar, or where it's a little laggy. Ships will disappear. I think that's why the Garistas pirates disappeared too. What happens is they disappear, and then once you get to that point, they reappear and no combat phase is initiated. So I think it's their server side of things, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I know they have a lot of servers, brand new servers, but if they could just focus on the veteran servers' performance, that would be good.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I'm just showing too, because you sent me a video of the stations disappearing. So especially when there's, heated battle going on, that can definitely impact, if you can't transfer your fleet or if your fleet doesn't engage in combat. And then we're also seeing the rally platform. Like sometimes we're getting phantom rally platforms as well. Then we've also seen, it's just like certain code maybe wasn't put in properly. But yeah, so and then Reginald, any other kind of bugs or things that you think have impacted the game that need to be checked out by the devs?
Yeah, one more thing that I have come across, not very often, but sometimes when I want to capture a grid that's far away, like seven grids, it will tell me like that I have no path to the grid, even if there is one, and I have to like put my camera specifically so it shows both the like target and the source location, and then the game realizes the path actually exists.
Interesting. Now, I was kind of curious because I know some people have called it a bug, some people have called it an exploit. I wanted to hear what you guys think about using pirates as a way to PvP. So essentially, where somebody will target a pirate and then essentially go through enemy fleets so they don't have to use stamina. Jap, do you think that's more of an exploit or do you think that's a strategy that the devs intended for the game?
This has been a long-going debate. Ever since this game was in beta, before season 1, I think beta players were using this. They found out about it, and since then, I think it's kind of like a war crime. Like you shouldn't do it because it's a bug, but if your corporation is really underhanded, maybe you have to use it to try to get ahead.
So you're
So I think there's a double standard.
Okay, so you don't think this was an intentional thing by the devs? You think this is kind of
Oh, okay.
like an exploit?
So, okay, so I don't think the developers intended for this. But, a lot of great game mechanics have come from glitches, such as, Smash Brothers wave dashing, uh, or, even first-person shooters, the way you wall ride or surf
Bunny hops.
back from Tribes. Developers, exactly, rocket jumping, these have become top competitive skills. But in this case, it can be very cheap because you can have one ship plow through 6 enemy combatants with one Garista pirate. And then at the cost of no stamina, you just cancel your pirate attack right at the end, so you just retreat back.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound fair to me. But, the developers could fix this by, I think they mentioned only doing one combat per action. So once you end the first action, you retreat. That might help a little bit. That might actually make it an acceptable tactic too, because it's not too cheap.
Interesting. Reginald, what do you think? Do you think it's an exploit, or have you used the pirate trick? I don't know what else to call it other than the pirate trick. But what do you think about it?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's an unintended mechanic, and like my personal opinion is that if you do engage in something that would otherwise take stamina during the move, it should just take the stamina like when that action occurs. Like if you engage with a fleet, it should occur stamina. If you engage with like a disruption field, it should take the stamina.
Yep, absolutely. Doomsy, what do you think? Do you like it? Are you for it or against it?
I think it's two sides of a coin. Using it when you're in like what he was saying earlier, what Jules was saying earlier, for you're underhanded or not underhanded, you're undermanned, and you need like a leg up. I think that it can be used without looking as bad as it is. Whereas if you're like a massive corporation and you're using that, it's the difference between shooting someone in the chest and shooting them in the back of the head. They're still getting shot, but you're just being a little ethically underhanded about it.
Yep. Well, I, for one, have probably never used the pirate trick.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Oh, yes. Now, if they make it so that you can't cancel your pirate attack and you have to follow through with it, imagine just watching your fleet fly to that pirate for like 20 minutes. Because it's that only single pirate in the whole map that's been cleared of other pirates, you know? Now you're wasting time and stamina and action points.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of stamina, I know we've kind of talked a little bit about some of the updates and things coming for the game. I want to hear some of the feedback of the latest update that the developers have introduced or are planning to introduce regarding stamina. I did pull up Gumi's feedback, but Jap, why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit of feedback? What do you think about the dev's new stamina update?
Stamina. Developers are method of only stamina when a combat has been initiated, but for deployment or guarding, no stamina is required. So as we know, stamina, for one action, it requires 15 stamina points. And that takes 45 minutes or so, I believe. So 45 minutes per action. Back in the old days, we would use fleets to waste the big whales pool, making us just sitting duck and then us with minimal military exploit achieved. You know, we would just kite them, basically kite them around the strategic areas until they have to get sent back home because they're exhausted. Now, when you exhaust a commander, that's going to take about 6 hours to get back to 100, I believe. So with this new stamina update, it might not fare well for the free-to-play players that use this bait and switch tactic, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Guerrilla warfare, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely think that this mechanic should stay as it is, mostly due to it. I apologize. Okay, I'm
RIP.
back. Yeah, I'm having a little bit of a coughing fit. Okay, but yeah, I agree that this mechanic should stay because it gives even weaker players like a chance to affect the battlefield in some way. If there is no cost to moving your strong fleets around freely, that will like make it way easier to leverage the strong fleets to do like what you want, and there is not as much counterplay. So I like that the weaker players have some sort of counterplay option. Also, Jab Jules, you mentioned the recharge time, which can actually be significantly lowered by building the structure on level 10 grids.
Doomsy, what are your thoughts with the stamina? Do you like the change, or do you think that that could drastically impact the free-to-play players?
The stamina change, in my opinion, is going to ruin PvP for anyone who is not the biggest person in the field.
Yeah.
It will create a situation where there was a way to get a whale off the field by being strategic and making them be strategic in where they go, how they go, who they send, when they go, whether or not they use their retreats. Now they're just there until you can kill them, and unfortunately, as we all know, some ships take 10, 15 regular fleets to take down, so it's going to become a whale's paradise for PvP.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm just going to kind of screen over to Gumi's feedback in the community Discord. If you guys have seen her post, I think she breaks down very thoughtfully how this could impact the game, so you can go support that suggested feedback. But what she mentions is that removing or drastically reducing stamina restrictions allows dominant fleets to roam freely, suppressing weaker fleets with little resistance. Whereas previously, kind of similar to what you guys were saying earlier, weaker free-to-play players could still contribute meaningfully to battles because those stronger fleets were limited by stamina. So this really does impact a lot of the strategy of this game. And it seems a lot like the community has kind of agreed that it's impacting the strategy and not for the better. It seems like it's actually removing strategy and making it, Doomsy, you said, like a whale's paradise. So we'll see. Does anybody know when that change is supposed to be live?
Yes, what I'd like to add, there was a developer blog that stated that this new stamina update is a bit closely tied to their new unified fleet system. So when this first unified fleet system idea came out, I wondered to myself, so if you have a stack of these different command fleets, if you get exhausted, deployment of this unified fleet, you just have like stragglers just left behind, you know? So maybe this change is really for the better of this unified fleet system, which we don't know how it'll affect the smaller corporations.
Yeah, definitely. Reginald, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I completely like agree. I still don't know what they are planning exactly with the unified fleet thing. It sounds interesting, but it very heavily depends on the actual implementation, how it works. Like, I do not have a full picture of how it will work at this moment.
Yep, absolutely. Speaking of that, I kind of wanted to tie into what we think about some of the latest updates. We have grid requisition, rally platforms. Doomsy, what's your thought on the grid requisition? Do you like it? Do you think it's working as intended, or do you think they still need to flesh it out a little bit more?
I understand the purpose of its implementation. I just don't think it's as revolutionary or important as it was displayed to be or portrayed to be. It's neat. It's very irrelevant to me as a player and to most people as a player. So I don't really have a positive or negative opinion on it. I think it's just a function they added, and I don't really care about it.
Interesting. What about you, Jap? Do you think it's helped the game? Has it reduced some of the social aspect?
Well, okay, so I will say the requisition update has dramatically increased quality of life, but at the sacrifice of the social interaction. Here's why. I remember it would take me hours to communicate with, say, 10 Corp members, message them in chat. Hey, can you drop this tile? You got to copy the coordinates, paste it in the chat. Yeah, drop this tile, buddy. Thank you. Have a good day. Do that 10 times, and now you've freed up all the grids around a Stargate. It takes like 3 hours or more. It all depends what time the players get on. So this is really great for the CEO because you could be on at any time and your players, and you can get all the grids you need for strategic or offensive measures. So it's really good. But there's the thing, I used to have to message these people like they're human beings and ask them politely, can you please, sacrifice for your corp? You're gonna, you know, uh, we owe it to you. So now it's just a bit more like, seize and control.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head where you mentioned that this is a quality of improvement for kind of leadership or CEO. I know specifically New Order had to do grid requisition so that we could properly place our rally platform. So I found that to be fairly effective. But I do kind of see your point in terms of it reducing some of the team aspect. Reginald, what do you think? Do you think it works out really well? Do you like it? Do you think it's like, or are you kind of on the side with Doomsy? It's not as revolutionary as we thought it might be.
I am actually on the completely opposite side of Doomsday. I very much like the system. We use it very often, and yeah, it does reduce the social side of the game a little bit. But because of all the time zones and people not being on all the time, like sometimes if a crucial single grid is being blocked by a member, like in the past, the only option that was on the table was kicking them from the corp and taking the grid, which was not a good thing to do. So I am a very big fan of this being a thing. Of course, the system could be like expanded to make made better, but I am a fan and we use it extensively.
Absolutely.
You don't agree with me? Banned.
What do you think about the Rally platform, Reginald? Have you been able to use it? Can you kind of explain a little bit about the Rally platform for anybody who doesn't know what it does, and then let me know what your thoughts are?
Yeah, so the rally platform is basically build your own station kind of thing. It's weaker than usual stations are, but you can place it wherever you need it to be, and it kind of adjusts to the grids around it to fill in the space. I think it's an amazing defensive structure, but we actually didn't have really chance to use it properly yet because of the limitations of only two platforms per corp. So, it's very difficult to place them in strategic places because usually there are ways to get around them.
Interesting. So very more of a defensive tool. I know. So you mentioned that we have a limit for two, and it takes about 7 hours to build, and it's quite expensive to upgrade. I know also too it costs us corp valor, which is I believe a new cost for the corp. So that is also something to factor in. Jap, what do you think about the rally platform? Do you think we haven't had enough time to test it, or do you think it could be a really useful tool for smaller corps?
We still need time to test it. It's cool having your own little station built anywhere. The fact that it takes 7 hours, you got to plan ahead for what its use will be. It can be used defensively or possibly offensively. Here's why I think that. Let's say you want to place a rally marker in an combatant's region. You're going to be losing capacitor going to that rally. If you build a rally platform in their sector, now when you transfer to that rally platform, all your capacitor is going to be 100% ready for combat, you know? Because as we know, if it drops down to 90, 80%, your power level is going down. And you're in the enemy's backyard, so you're going to get trapped. That's why I think the rally platform could be used offensively, you know? Kind of like a D-Day scenario. You're storming the beaches. Haven't used it defensive yet.
Interesting.
And also, what are these points and what are these additional bonuses that will station rally platforms?
Give me 1 second. I'm just going to go in a brief intermission just to check something out. We'll be right back.
He's cutting out massively.
Yeah, he's cutting out.
Yeah, it happens.
All right, and we are back. Jap, let's hear you. Let's hear you say something for me.
Let's see. Check, mic 1 2.
Perfect. All right, you are back. All right, perfect. Let's see, where were we? You were talking about Rally Platform, and you're saying that you think it's not only a defensive tool, but it could be an offensive tool.
Yes.
So why don't you continue elaborating on that?
Yes. Yeah. So when you place a rally marker and a enemy, the entire time you're flying out there, when you arrive, you'll be 30% capacitor, and you won't be able to fight the enemies that have 100% capacitor. So creating or constructing a rally platform creates a way for your corp mates to transfer all the way with full cap, ready to fight.
Absolutely. Jimsy, did you, when you were using the Rally platform, did you happen to see how repair works in there? Can you explain what you, just how you've seen the Rally platform work for your experience?
Whenever I did use it, I didn't send multiple fleets to the platform because it was closer to the gate, and that's the gate I was going through. But it seemed to work similar to an outpost. At the level that it was when I used it, I could get 2 fleets in there. They could be repaired, and they're just fine. It didn't seem like it cost any more or less. It was almost like just a very large team outpost, and that's one function I would say is a massive quality of life improvement, is being able to build like a corp outpost and place it where you want. And I agree with Jules that it can be offensively or defensively maneuvered. It can remove cap cost of movement through enemy territory, as well as give you a centralized point of more or less rallying while reducing the time of travel because it's a transfer over deployment.
Yep, absolutely. I know specifically Imperium and New Order in the veteran server are using these rally platforms as a way to blockade gates, so they are using it very defensively. But it would kind of be interesting to see how the rally platform could be used more in an offensive way as well. Reginald, are you back with us?
Yes, I am here.
Okay.
I just want to add that usually offensively we use outpost clusters instead, because that can achieve a very similar result in a much faster time.
That's very true. The one difference, though, I do believe from stations versus a rally platform is, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think that you can repair multiple fleets at the same time in the rally platform, whereas you can't do that in a station. You have to build, outposts around a station so that you can repair multiple fleets at a time. But the rally platform, it seems like you can repair any of the transferred fleets in there all at the same time.
Yes, that is correct. However, you can achieve similar result by building multiple outposts as well. So that's always an option.
Yep, absolutely. Does anybody want to share on how you can get more Corp Valor? How does a team get Corp Valor so that you can upgrade these rally platforms? Reginald, why don't you go?
I actually don't know the mechanics behind it, unfortunately. We didn't have enough time to test it, so I have no idea where it actually comes from.
Okay. Jap, do you have any feedback on where teams can get Corp Valor? Because that's fairly new.
So I was just gonna say, yeah, we haven't earned any Valor points. I don't think there's any system in place to earn or achieve Valor points. And this is what's needed to upgrade these rally platforms. I think with level 1 rally platforms that give no bonuses most live year.
Interesting.
Valor points that we upgrade. This is going to be fleets transferred. We will.
Did we lose him?
Maybe it'll be like increased offense.
Sorry, Jep. We keep losing you. You became a ghost for a second, so now you're back.
Yeah, I just want to add that I also am not sure how this system works because we are currently also sitting on 0 Valor points, so I have no idea where they come from.
That's interesting. New Order was able to get quite a few Valor points, and we saw Valor points at the bottom of our kill mail. But yeah, we haven't quite figured out where exactly they come from. We kind of had theorized they come from PvP because we didn't see Court Valor coming from PvE or anything like that.
I think the developers mentioned that it's supposed to be obtained by the corporations that are currently at a disadvantage. So basically, the higher level rally platforms would like take a chance for them to like more reinforce their ground, as opposed to the winning corporations. But yeah, I don't know how it's implemented.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see. Well, I wanted to talk about maybe some feedback that you guys think would be good for the health of the game. I know last episode we talked about more collaborative PvE, not just raising HP for stations, but making more engaging or collaborative PvE. Reginald, do you have any thoughts on some additional things that the developers could do to make the game a little less grindy?
Yeah, so like I kind of said before on the first episode, I think there should be some sort of PvE content that is able to be engaged, so there is some variety. Because currently the PvE content is only the Guristas Pirates and capping grids, which is not really engaging and it's basically a solo activity. So there, it would be very nice to have some sort of like corp PvE objective or even a small group PvE objective.
Yep, absolutely. Doomsy, what do you think? Do you have any other ideas on things that developers could do to make more content? Just because it seems like the feedback from everybody is that there's a lot of it. The game feels very grindy, which is kind of one of the reasons the devs mentioned of why they're reducing stamina. Do you have any other kind of feedback on which you think would be an improvement for the game?
Just give me ally chat already.
Ally chat would be very nice. I actually also thought the ability to keep capacitor in allied territory, or even maybe using allied stations, would be nice, because I think there's just not that much functionality with allies currently.
Yeah, just to add kind of to that, like considering how much of the game is the social part, there is surprisingly little like actual social interaction tools. Basically, the only tools we have right now is the chats, which are kind of nice. But if you are not active in the game at the moment when a message is sent, like you just miss it completely. So you
Right.
cannot get any like feel of what was happening there even like 15-20 minutes ago. The mail system is very nice. However, it is only like a top down from the officers, from the higher ups in the corp to the members. There is no way to like interact with the mail from the point of view of a member. Maybe it would be nice if there was like an option to add interactions, like I have read this mail, I agree with this, or like something to that matter. Especially that would help with some like head count stuff, because when we need like a head count of who is online right now, like there is not really a way to do that efficiently. So I definitely think there needs to be some more like social interaction tools in the game, because right now like 90% of the social interactions have to happen outside of the game, and that makes it very hard. So we use, for example, Discord, but not everyone is on the Discord. Not everyone even has an account. So yeah, I would love to see more ways to engage with my corp members and also engage with the community as a whole.
Yep, absolutely. I really like the idea of the court mail, because I mean, I usually have to send like blast notifications in the chat to everybody. Did you read the court mail? Did you read the court mail? I post the court mail everywhere. Having a button that says that they've acknowledged they've received it would be awesome. What do you guys think about player logins? Jap, what do you think? Do you think it would be an improvement for the game for leadership to know when players are logging on, or do you think it's a little too invasive?
I think it's not too invasive. This whole chat UI reminds me AIM or Instant Messenger. In the chat room, we could use the option of change the text AIM chat. Now that's gone, but that was cool. In terms of alliance benefits, I think it'd be cool to have like a dual research where if you're both researching the corporations, like imagine a corporate-wide research where the time would be reduced if two corporations are working together. And another thing is an option for a larger corp to gift a station to a smaller corporation. Because the process now is like you'll have to set your alliance to neutral, and then they'll have to actively siege that station in order to be gifted a station.
Yep. Well, that's
So for logging in, yeah, that would be good to see which players are online and active. You know, you might have some players who just haven't logged on for a month or so, and you're wondering where they are, you know, or 2 months. For that, I would suggest making like a small corporation. If you have more active people joining, you know, have a smaller kind of sister corporation to just place them into for that time being.
Yeah.
Other thing is now, but if we could have alliance chat, that would be great.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody here has made a group chat, but making group chats is extremely tedious. So even just like light fixes where it's easier to add people into a group or have multiple groups, that would be fantastic. Because you can make teams, but there's only a limit of 15 players. So that makes things a bit difficult. What do you think?
Also, if I may touch on
Yeah.
the online thing, I definitely think that's a good idea. However, it should not be available to anyone in the corp. It should be available to only to maybe like military commanders and up, because that can also be used as an intel a lot to like measure the time zones players play in to coordinate attacks. So
Yeah.
while I like the idea,
Nice.
it should be restricted to some positions in the corp, not just widely available.
Yeah, absolutely. Doomsy, it sounds like you kind of agree. What's your take?
I think it's exactly what he was saying. If everyone is able to see it, then it becomes a function of a spy to just look at people's activity and measure where their weak points are based upon their activity, rather than the windows between their activity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also the gifting stations. I don't think there should be like an option to straight up gift a station. It would be nice to mark the station like as available to be attacked by allies, but the allies should still be required to like do the proper sieging.
Which, to that point, I would say would make a lot of sense if there was just ally markers, not just like on stations, just the ability to share a marker with your allies.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I thought. If you wouldn't really need to gift a station if you were able to use stations of allies or not lose capacitor in there. At least not losing capacitor in the territory would be nice. It just honestly, if anything, allies seem to be a bit more of a hindrance. Go ahead. Yep.
And here's an idea. Once you capture a station, you can choose from a range of benefits, which then the allies can also benefit from. And that allows you to customize each station to a specific function, whether you want a more defensive station near the Stargate or a more offensive-oriented station, maybe less health, you know, less HP.
Yeah.
Maybe in that sense, you can customize the fighter would kind of make things interesting.
Yep, absolutely. I wanted to share one of the community feedback from Grandolph. And I'll just kind of read a little bit about it, and then I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. But he specifically mentioned that we really need to have a fix to the season balance. Basically, his like kind of just an overview. He's essentially mentioning how the seasons kind of feel that they're very fast. Their rotations push players into a rush meta. And so the easiest way to win is to sprint ahead, crush weaker players, lock down the map, and then try to absorb as many other corps as possible. So a couple recommendations that he mentions are just slowing down early domination and promote more early development. limiting corporation size and power, and then encouraging more cooperation and dynamic gameplay. So it's kind of similar to what you mentioned earlier, Reginald, of with pirates, or having like more collaborative PvE. But Grandolph also mentioned introducing seasonal challenges that require teamwork between factions and corps, and then maybe some things that can help underdogs stay in the fight. Because if a faction is getting crushed, maybe they could get like temporary boost or cross server player corp injections, that kind of thing. So what do you guys think? Reginald, I'll start with you. What do you think to some of the things Grandolph mentioned? Do you think that the game rushes too early into like it creates that rush meta, or do you think that it's a good timeline for how fast the season goes?
Yeah, so this season, in the veteran season, they sped up the season quite a lot. The times on the different unlocks and the different stages of the season were sped up. And I do not like that development. I think it is like quite rushed, and people who aren't active like a lot every day fell behind right at the start, especially people who couldn't log in the first 2 days. They were at a huge disadvantage. And while we are in the veteran season, which is meant for veterans, I still think that there should be a place to play like more casually. So the people who do play more casually or just were busy at that point with real life stuff fell behind way more than they would usually. I do not think that's a good development for the game. I like the more slower seasons, but I kind of also see the counterpoint, which is that if the season is slower and there is a single corp dominating the whole map, the smaller corps are bored, even the big corp is bored, and it doesn't lead in a good spot. So like it feels like this was trying to solve that issue, but it just created more issues in the first place. There needs to be some sort of different solution to the one corp dominating everything.
Yeah, kind of pulls back into that thing where a lot of the community has mentioned that the game feels very grindy. So when we're rushing through seasons, it just feels like they're actually increasing the grind. What do you think, Doomsy? Did you think this season was too fast? Any feedback on? Do you think the corporation sizes are too big, or would you want them to be smaller?
If this season goes any faster, I'm going to get road rash from logging off. I think that they need to add penalties for, like Grandolph mentioned, like efficiency penalties for overcrowding. Like a corp gets a certain size. I think stations should have an upkeep cost, and the more you own, the higher that upkeep cost should be, is so as to enchant the thought of taking over an entire server by making the cost of running all of those stations particularly high.
Interesting. What do you think, Jap, for any of Grandolph's feedback?
I really like what Doomsy just suggested, is creating a restriction and kind of taxes on all the stations that you might have under your ownership. That creates for a wide empire.
I would almost add to that.
We're a tall one.
Oh, he's still going, sorry.
Yeah. No, go right ahead.
I was saying I would almost add to that currently the whole thought process that happens every season is who's going to get Jita and who's going to agree to allow someone to get Jita, to not at least compete against them. I would say it would make sense that the person holding Jita collects a portion of the taxes for every station owned, as it is the central of the galaxy, and it encourages, one, a less agreeing to give Jita away, and two, more competition in combat for Jita, because you know that every station you get is giving your enemy money, and therefore it's more beneficial to take Jita away.
Yeah, absolutely. That was something also Grandolph mentioned, is creating staggered objectives that pull away from the singular let's win Jita goal.
Yeah, also, Stefan VDNet in chat mentioned the give back XP above level 45. This is something that we have actually touched lightly on the last podcast, but I completely agree that there should be some sort of way to level up past 45 that is not fighting your enemies. It doesn't necessarily have to be outside of the PvP, but I think there should be at least a way to engage in PvP with your like corp mates. maybe an extension to the combat simulator, like where you can engage in battles of other fleets of your corp mates to get that XP. So it shouldn't be for free, it shouldn't be easy, but it should be available even while not straight up fighting your enemies.
Yep. Doomsy, what do you think about that? Do you like having to PvP after level 45, or do you think that's a little bit too much?
I think those last 5 levels are grueling to get through if you are not the person who is running the latest meta fleet, because the amount of experience you get is dependent on whether or not you win, and also dependent on the size of your fleet versus the size of the enemy fleet. And so if you're constantly losing, getting to 50 will take you more than the entire season. It just won't happen.
Yep, absolutely. Jop, what do you think? Do you like the leveling with PvP, or do you think it's too much?
So I'd like to say comeback mechanism for the smaller corporations, so it creates a widening gap. You know, you can't just speed things up without letting the smaller corporations have any way of catching up in that matter of time. You know, we're like an experiment. Are very difficult to grind through if you're not a big PvP here. If not, you're gonna stay stuck at 45 and basically stay stuck with level 9 tiles. Because I think the level 10 tiles do require a force of level 50 commanders to even capture, you know? And that means more strategy. Tile flipping mode, you can flip level 10 tile, you know, and it just spread out your grid network. So they need to definitely add this new comeback mechanism to make things more fair. It encourages more PvP, I will say. Oh, I gotta do PvP to level up these, you know, commanders to level 50. That's pretty good, except you're gonna get creamed if you don't have the right ships, the right commanders, or the stars. But in the short term, it's not good. They'll have to make some adjustments.
Yeah, absolutely. Reginald, I was curious if did you mention the corporation size and power? Do you think 250 is a good number? Do you think it should be smaller? What's your take on that?
So that's kind of a difficult question because that extremely depends on the server that you are playing on. Because in some cases it might feel small, in some cases it might feel too big. So like I would like to say there should be like a scaling slide to that, but on the other hand, that is a very dangerous thing to do when you transition to a different server and the corp size would change dynamically. You suddenly have people that don't fit in the corp anymore. So it's a very difficult question to say. I am a big fan of the size not being limited at the beginning due to like the corp level and structures. I think that's a very good move because it allows, as the corp transitions to new season, all the players that were in can still be in. So for sure I would keep that. And the size of 250, I think it's a good balance. So I would probably not touch that just because I'm not sure what the repercussions would be for touching it.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see. We're kind of coming up to our time. So before we sign off, is there any other kind of feedback that you guys wanted to share on game improvement that you think would make EVE Galaxy Conquest better? Do you guys want to give a shout out? Do you guys want to share any other kind of feedback on why you like this game? Reginald, we'll start with you.
Well, I just want to say if any actual developers are listening or will see this, then like we are happy playing the game. Like this is meant as a constructive feedback. Like we still are here. The reason why we are talking is because we care and we want this to be better for everyone. We want to enjoy it. So yeah, let's play. Let's gather feedback. Let's get this better even than it is now.
Absolutely. Jap, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to the Reforged crew. Phoenix, Care, Donkey Teeth, Steam Dog, and my old Season 1 pals, Terex, Binom, Foxcat, a lot of others. And yeah, we all still enjoy playing this game. We love seeing all these updates and the Discord, the official Discord that the devs are running. They're very, quick on to any feedback, community questions. So they're on top of that, which is good to see. And yeah, it's a great game. I mean, it's a 4X tied with the EVE world. It's great. I'd like to see maybe new maps, PvE, and actually maybe smaller corporations. On some servers, they had 500 members, and I don't know what happened to them. Maybe they got disbanded. But yeah, that's it for me.
Awesome, thank you. And Doomsy, what about you? Any last sign-offs, feedback, comments, anything like that?
Well, Stefan just shared he got Jamil from a free summon, so I think he should be banned. But no, on the roles in the previews, what I would really like to see that I think would be a quality of life improvement for someone like me. I like to know exactly what I'm doing and what it's doing for me. I would love to see the percentile of roll chance per hero, commander, or ship on the rolls, so that I know if I'm buying a pack for that event, I know what kind of math is going into my chances of getting what I'm going for, versus having 100 in the list and I think, yeah, I have a 1 in 100 chance, but we both know that's not true. There's probably like a 0.001 chance for a legendary and like a 3% chance for a purple and like an 8% chance for a blue. And yeah, I would just like to see that math so it's not a gamble in my head.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. I think that's one of the big feedback, the common piece of feedback for mobile gamers is we just really don't want this game to be pay to win. There has been some feedback that, the Tornado needs to be nerfed a little bit. It's a very strong fleet, or ship, I should say, when it's paired with the proper commanders. But yeah, so a little bit more balance in the game would be fantastic. I really liked Grandelf's feedback in terms of creating more dynamic gameplay, like having shared objectives, maybe even like a station event where some stations get basically taken over by pirates and then we like randomly, and then we have to retake the station. So it almost kind of keeps you, once you gather that territory, it's not just, okay, we're done. We gather the territory, but it kind of keeps you on your toes and keeps players active as well. So definitely would like to see some of that.
Yeah, almost like barbarians.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, thank you very much, guys. I'm going to pull us out, but thank you for joining us as our guests. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the show. Feel free to give any feedback on it.
Good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, keep it easy, Capsulers, and we will see you next time.